Hi there, welcome back to my channel, the best place to build a life and business that you love, simply because you can. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing part 2 in the 4-part series on the business secrets from the book of Ruth that I uncovered. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'm going to be linking it down below in the description box below. Now, part 2, there's so much that I got from chapter 2, and I have my notes here. So if you see me looking down, I'm making sure that I'm not missing any points that may be vital to you. Now, let's get right into it. Now, the first lesson that I learned from Ruth chapter 2 was the power of a thought. The power of a thought. Those thoughts that kind of come into our mind and we dismiss like, it may not mean anything. There is power in that thought. And if we look at chapter 2, it says, Ruth said to herself. Now, from chapter 1, we see how Ruth persisted and then she followed Naomi back to Israel. Now, when they got to Israel, they had been living together, they're doing their thing, they're living together. And then Ruth had a thought one day. She was like, let me go out and pick up leftover grain. So she went to Naomi and she's like, you know what? Let me go out and pick up leftover grain. This was just a random thought. Maybe she was in the middle of her day, doing her laundry, doing her washing, sweeping the floors. And she just had this thought, like, you know what? Let me just go and pick out the grain. Now, lesson number 1, the voice of God may not sound like this deep baritone voice like, hey, my daughter, I need you to do this. No, it may not sound like that. It may just be a little itty bitty tiny thought, right? That comes in your mind, that comes in your heart, right? We have to be careful not to dismiss those thoughts. I know that monumental things in my life, life-changing things in my life have come in a still small voice that I could have easily dismissed. Now, if you're a child of God, we all have the Holy Spirit living inside of us. We have to make sure that we are not dismissive of the subtle things that come into our mind sometimes, because subtle things may be the foundation for great ideas. So Ruth got this idea to, let me just go out and get us some grain. And she went to Naomi, told Naomi's like, girl, cool, you can go ahead and do that. Now, lesson number 2, or tip number 2 that I got from the 2nd chapter is she took immediate action. Ruth did not wait around saying, oh, maybe I'm going to do this some other time, or maybe no, it's too simple. I don't know. I don't even know where to go. Yes, she didn't know where to go, but she took imperfect action. She moved. She took immediate action on that idea as soon as it came into her mind. Because the Bible tells us in verse 3, Ruth chapter 2, verse 3, she went out immediately and entered the field and began to glean behind the harvesters. Now, let me point out something here for you. Because she took immediate action, she did not even know where she was going. She just went out and stayed behind the harvesters and started to glean. But here's the catch. God was in it. Because it was a God idea and she obeyed and took action, God was in it. And I'll tell you shortly how I know that. Right? She didn't bother herself with all the what ifs. She got started with what she could. And she was going behind the harvesters to glean. That's what she could. So in our lives and in our business, sometimes when we have an idea, we then go on with what is. Maybe God gives us an idea to maybe start a business or write a book or do something. Or it might just be as simple as get up and go to the shops today. Something as simple like that. I mean, when I met my husband, like this is true life story. When I met my husband, I was in my house that day. I was just feeling really down. And my friend just knocked on the door. She was like, do you want to come with me to the bank? No joke. And I didn't want to go. It was a subtle voice, very small, that just said, go. Just go. Something will happen. Go, you meet someone. It was so subtle that I could have dismissed it, because truly that day I was not feeling up to it. I didn't feel like going anywhere. And my friend was not even like pushy. She was just like, do you want to come to the bank with me? I just want to go get some money at the bank, right? And there with my broke self, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to go anywhere. But because of that little small voice just said, go. I went with her, and that was where I met my husband. If you want me to share the story of what transpired inside the bank, how we met, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to make a video to tell you on that. But back to the principles and business principles from Ruth, right? She took action, and sometimes in our life we waste too much time, especially as believers, as children of God. We're trying to say, oh, is this God's voice? Is it not God's voice? Did I hear God clearly? Did I not hear God clearly? How about you just move? It is easier to stay a moving sheep than a stagnant one. She moved and she started with where she could. She stood behind the harvesters. That was where she could stand at the time. She wasn't even worthy to be one of the harvesters. But she's like, you know what? I'm just going to be right here over here, just doing my thing over here, okay? And that was where she was. She was just there doing her thing, right? And then She was just gleaning, right? She was just gleaning there behind the harvesters. That was what she was doing. Lesson number 3, hard work will get you noticed. Hard work will get you noticed. Even though she was not one of the harvesters, she came to the field and she remained there from morning until evening, right? She was there, and that was when Boaz came and said, who's that lady? Who's that damsel? Who is that maiden? He recognized her because she stayed. She showed up and she stayed. She worked hard. Now, in our life and business, when we start out, we may get discouraged along the way. Oh my God, we're not one of the harvesters. We're not getting as much harvest as we hope to get. We're just gleaners. We're still gleaning. But if we show up and stay consistent and work hard, we will get noticed for our hard work. I mean, there are times when I've gotten clients from Instagram that I didn't even know were watching what I was doing. I was just posting stuff normally, and they would message me, hey, I've been seeing what you've been doing. I want to work with you. So if you keep showing up consistently, putting out what you know, you may not feel like any returns are coming, but I trust and believe that we serve a God of harvest and your returns are definitely coming. So hard work will get you noticed, right? Because in this case, what Boaz asked, who's this lady? And what they said was she came into the field and she remained there from morning until now, except for a short rest. So they could see that she was a hard worker. Now, the next golden nugget. She was favored. She was favored. Goodness and mercy followed her. Why do I know this? It's because when she went into that field, and I'm going to share this in another video because I don't think it covers this here. When she went into that field, she could have been killed for going into that field, but God ordered her steps into the right field and to glean in the right place. As long as we do not despise the days of small beginnings, we will reap the rewards. Goodness and mercy followed her. Verse 11, your good works will speak for you even when you think no one is watching. I think I covered that already in point number 3. Your hard work will speak for you. Now, number 4, you will be comforted in a foreign land. And this goes to people like me who are migrants in a different country. You've left your home, you've left your country, just like Ruth left Moab and left everything that she knew and came to Israel. And she was favored. She was favored in Israel. She was favored in Israel. You will be comforted. She was comforted and she was favored in a foreign land. And you will be shown exceeding kindness and favor. You will be shown exceeding kindness and favor if you just follow what the Lord has put on your heart to do, regardless of whether or not it's your home country or not. And the next point I want to raise is He will cover you and help you fight unseen battles. And this ties back again into she just going into any field. She didn't know that field belonged to Boaz. She just went in there and it was a God-ordained step that she went in there. So point number 1 from the lessons from the book of Ruth chapter 2, recognize the power of a thought. Number 2, take action. Number 3, work hard, girl. Stay on the grind. You will get noticed for your hard work. Number 4, goodness and mercy will follow you. That's what the Bible tells us. And indeed, it followed Ruth because she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. She was exactly where she was supposed to be at the right place at the right time. And goodness and mercy found her. Number 5, your good works will speak for you even when no one is watching. When Boaz asked, who is this damsel? Who is this lady? They said, oh, she's been here working hard the whole day and except for a short rest that she took. People were watching even though she didn't know that they were watching, right? Number 5, you will be comforted in a foreign land. And this goes to my migrants out there. If you feel like you're in a foreign land, and don't see that as a barrier to you pursuing or following your dreams, just believe that you will be comforted. The Lord will bring people your way that will help you on your journey as you go along. Number 4, you will be shown exceeding kindness and favor. Just the way Boaz was exceedingly kind to Ruth, you will be shown exceeding kindness and favor if you stay the course and work hard. Number 4 is God will cover you because she didn't know that field belonged to Boaz, right? But the Lord covered her, He protected her, and He kept her safe because she would have been killed for going into just a random person's field to go glean. Now, let me know which one of these points have you experienced in your life, or which one of these tips will you be implementing? Let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know if you'd like me to share the story of how I met my husband following that little thought, that little voice that came in my mind. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you haven't watched part 1, I'm going to be linking that as well in the description box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.